tell you an anecdote.
Yes.
Again, using an example from another game. It is a
Yeah.
game that at the time was considered to be the great commercial white hope of role playing. It's from White Wolf Games, and it was Exalted.
Mm.
And they threw their formula at it, right? We have 9,000 splat books, and we have book after book after book explaining how the universe changes through their meta story and introducing new factions and shit like that, right? So you have
Yeah.
this, so everybody has a little character class and a little tree of developing powers, and there's all this narration during combat because it's so cool to use your, your golden shower spinning kick or some shit like that, right?
Uh,
So you have all of this, but if you actually look at the system, you will find that once the big fight is over, it
mm.
did nothing about the actual situation that the characters were in.
No.
So that means that the game master just sets the next situation according to how they feel they want things to go.
Yeah.
And so the GM basically
Again,
completely controls the actual story. And when I was speaking to one of the designers, who shall remain nameless,
mm.
I said, I'm. It seems to me as though there's this is an exercise in elaborate railroading and keeping the
Yeah.
players busy with their fight. And he said, yes, that's exactly right. In the beginning, we sat down and we said, game masters like to tell their story,
Mm.
and players like to win fights. So we are going
Yeah.
to give them both what they want.
Mm.
And I said, so you meant to do that? And they said, yes. And I said to myself, that's very interesting. And I also said to myself, I will shoot myself in the head before I ever play that game in any way, shape, or form.
Mm.
I'm sure someone likes it.
I think, probably a lot of
Well,
people, and I think a
actually,
lot
I
of
will
games.
tell you what I saw, though. This was in the
Uh,
days of RPG.net,
yeah.
and which is, of course, still going and everything. But, it was when RPG.net was the place, right?
Yeah.
So I saw over and over and over again what I think of as telltale disasters in the culture of playing Exalted. One of them was, how can I keep things interesting?
Yeah.
Another was, we played and it was great. Oh, but we kind of decided, then the game kind of fell apart and we never kept going. And I saw that
Mm.
over and over.
Mm.
And I saw, the next book is out. It's going to be great now.
Mm.
Do you see what all of these, if you see like many, many, many examples of this kind of interaction about the game, you can see
Yeah.
what is happening, right? The
Mm.
game masters are burning out and the players are getting bored.
Yeah.
So they have to buy the next splat book so that they have other powers to look forward to.
Yeah.
Or the next meta book so that the game master knows what to do next.
Yeah.
There's no causality in a given table of their own game. They keep having to turn to the books, the next purchase for what is in the game.
Mm.
And so it's predictable given what I was told and what I observed about the game. So I'm using that as the negative story, right? The negative example.
This is only one among many.
But it was so explicit that the designer told me to my own face exactly.
Yeah, and I've heard that kind of. This is also from the same time in history, like late 90s, early 2000s.
Absolutely, yes, yeah.
And what kind of game do you like to play? And what they tried to say was like, it's railroading, but the players don't know that.
Well, yes, illusionism, we called it. Yes.
Yeah. And
of course, the players always fucking know.
Yeah.
Right.
But they kind of accept it.
Well, if they do, sooner or later you will be left with the ones who accept it and lose the ones who don't. And strangely enough, the ones who don't are the ones who care about story in the first place.
Yeah.
So you are left with the obedient ones, but they don't care.
No.
So it's a very deadly cycle, I think. There are many other things we can talk about, historically and experientially about that, and I'd love to know your experiences with dealing with it through the years. But that's for another time, I think.
Can I just to before we end this?
Yeah.
So just something that probably not totally clear to you. You are a zoologist. You have and you also said that the animal. Animal Man has a problem. Haven't shared it with the rest of you. You happen to know what it is. That was your relationship to the Animal Man.
Yeah.
And since you played the Animal Man as the active card in phase 1, that means that the Uncontrolled Forest will be your inactive card, and that also makes it possible for you to use the Sense of Wonder condition on that card.
I see. So, okay. Yeah.
And that means that the Uncontrolled Forest is something. It's put on in the narrative background.
Absolutely.
There is a forest, but it will not, and we will probably be in it, but it will not be in the center of the story. But you can still use the powers that you have.
Right.
In that.
No, I think that's perfectly reasonable, and there's lots of places it could go. Now, if I were talking about this incorrectly, I would be anticipating later play, but talking about it objectively, because we are not really playing, we could imagine scenes later in which the baby seed of the mystic movement, right, maybe we all thought it was killed and it was a big disaster, but then I bring it back to life in the middle of the uncontrolled forest, right? Later, right? All those things are just sitting out there in the wonderful potential of possibility at this time.
But let's say now, what if we take this scene? If this is probably in phase 1,
right?
One of the last scenes,
right?
Right. You have left your road alive as
now we are running around as our little band of who knows what. So
and you still don't know why the robots did that, and this so what will happen after this scene is that I will ask all the players to establish something new about their characters.
Yeah.
And you can write whatever you want but you have to declare it to the others.
Right.
And that there's always I think I told you that last time that this is an interesting part of the game, because some players have very hard to write establish interesting. They get kind of a writer's block there.
Well, yes, but if I think you will see a difference. If you have resolution of the microanatomy of play, that is much more coherent and less able to be just overturned by talking, then those moments become much more powerful to the players, and they can use them for those important features very intuitively.
Yeah.
I think you will see that. So I would hold that relaxed for now and let and see if this has a different effect at that level.
It's not a big problem because I've learned how to facilitate that, and I've also had a couple of templates how to you're not sure is it maybe about the goal of your character?
Right,
is it
about but again, see if many factors start to become very organic at this point of play, and I think that doing what we talked about has a certain weight.
Feedback.
Yes, exactly. And it's those levels of feedback that actually turn the game into an organic moving thing rather than just a sequence of stopped events.
Yeah.
Right. So so let's try that.
But then after that, when they established stuff, what do you mean by let's try that?
Well, I'm just saying let's try it in the sense of me of you playing with some kind of altered outcome resolution table, that has the potential to do that. So I'm just being encouraging.
Yeah. Okay. So, but what also happens is that we feed back to the meta level of the story, and that's writing a couple of flags.
Right.
And I get you place those. I, as a game master, place those flags in either phase 2 or phase 1, 2, or 3, because I'm responsible for the pacing of the story.
Right.
So I would say that these robots, we will not get the answer about those until phase 3.
Right.
And I can move it back to 2, but this is something. So I write the flag that says robots' intentions, and I place that in phase 3.
I think that sounds great. I think that makes a lot of sense. So I think that when it comes to the bigger picture and the bigger structure of your game experience with this game, all the way from choosing the premise, to choosing the cards and setting things up and all that, all the way through this whole idea of how elements are identified and build and come to fruition later. All of those, you're fine. We need to be much more interested in the physiology of events. Right? You have the big motion is fine. We need to go in and make sure that the physiology has a causal role.
But the interesting thing now, if you just say that this was the last scene, we have addressed almost all the flags in scene 1. That means that we can go over to scene 2.
Right.
That's how they're. So we have got the answers to most of these questions, and we have postponed the answers to the other phases.
Right. And we also have a sense of closure of at least some things, and so right. And
then you play the second card. Then you play this card, and this is where it starts to get interesting, because you told me, for an example, so it's player number 2's turn to choose what card.
Well, except that, Ola, we should get to this later. Okay. I think we're okay for this section. I think I have run out of karma.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
there is a nice cliffhanger also.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that we have. But the point is not to bite off too much with each session, especially when the task involved is a fairly substantial one.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I would go back to the drawing board and make some minor changes, actually, because it's not that much,
but they mean a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Very good. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you very much, Ola. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.